Okay, folks, happy Thursday evening. All right, we're gonna do something a little different. Let me get my decal sheet. It's I hope this thing bends back because it's like bent one way. I think it'll be all right, but kind of annoying to get that wrapped up like that. So. I'm gonna do a little bit of digging here. I've read two books on Kursk recently. So let me back up a little bit. We got this panther to do, and we have this tiger to do. Actually, we got two tigers to do. And we're gonna make them both for Kursk. We already have a Tunisian tiger. I already have a late war one that I've done, and here's another late war that's gonna happen with the Zimmerit. So somewhere in the middle, we want to do these two tigers. So Kursk seems good enough. The panther is a G, so it's doesn't even have Zimmerit on it. So just trying to get some ideas for some potential paint schemes. I don't like to paint exact vehicles, and the reason for that is that I don't want somebody saying, "Hey, well, that's so and so's tank." Well, it never got muddy that way. I mean, you guys are out there. I don't want to hear it. So we have a few things to look at, and I think that we're going to try to tackle the tiger first. And this is, I think, what we're going to start with are these here. And Panzertruppen, there's a 2-volume series, and I wish there was stuff like this for all Allied stuff, but there isn't, or it's not compiled that way. I mean, the wearaboos are everywhere, but other people don't have it. God forbid the Soviets have something like that. There just isn't that information. It's out there, but these are really good. It's a 2-volume set, and they retail for about $50. You can get them for a lot less, like I did if you got a Muse, which this is the dust jacket, just had a rip in it. But I got it at half-price books, and I don't remember how much I paid for it. Probably $23, something like that. Amazon, and get it over there too. So I'm specifically going to look at the Tiger tanks at Kursk. Now, if memory serves me right, the Tiger tanks were in several different locations at Kursk. The 3 SS Panzer divisions that were in the same SS Panzer Corps had a company of them each. Grossdeutschland, that was also in the south, had a company of them. And there was another Tiger tank battalion, heavy tank battalion, that had their Tiger tanks were split up into companies. It's one battalion, so it's 3 companies. And those 3 companies were parceled out to the panzer divisions that were in the south on the starboard flank of the SS panzer divisions. Now, I don't remember which one that is. I want to say it's the 503rd. If I had to guess, I'd say it's the 503rd. The 501st went to North Africa. The 502nd, I think, was in the north, like at Leningrad. That's some of the first Tigers you see in gray are going to be the 502nd up around Leningrad. So I want to say it's the 503rd that was divvied up among those 3 panzer divisions on the right-hand side or really the eastern side of the southern part. And in the north, you think Battle of Kursk, everybody concentrates on stuff on the south because the north has some unique toys. The south has all the Panthers are in the south. They're in one Panzer brigade, and they're kind of attached to Grossdeutschland. They're hanging out there, and those panthers are really good at catching fire when they get cranked up. They catch fire on themselves, and they're really good at finding minefields. They took a beating. It's probably the one unit, the one German tank unit, Kursk, that probably took the biggest beating is that Panther Brigade. Because of the minefield and the mud and getting stuck, and they were deployed in the wrong place. But all those toys are in the South. The North has one battalion. I actually didn't know this. I was reading this book, and they have one battalion, or I was listening to this book. One battalion's in the North of Tigers, independently. And I don't remember if they're all together or they're also divvied up in between different panzer divisions. The Ferdinands are all up there. And the Brumbars are up there. That's a lot of the Germans had the debut of a lot of vehicles at Kursk. You know, you had the Panthers, Brumbars, the Ferdinands, which it later became the Elephants, the Nashorns, which I think at that point they were called Hornices. Those all debuted at Kursk. So what I want to see is what my Tiger options are for the different units. I don't automatically want to. Now, I am a big fan when I did 135th scale modeling of the Grossdeutschland stuff, but Grossdeutschland's a pain in the ass. They do some things a little differently with the numbering system. Their numbering system on their vehicles is odd, to put it lightly. And at Kursk, their Tigers either started with an A, B, or a C, if I remember correctly. Like A32, A31, that kind of thing. So not a big fan of that. Probably not going to go in that direction. So I'm going to see what the most basic, and I was a little resistant to I wasn't sure I was going to go online because it is kind of stormy, if you can hear that. But not really anybody here, so it doesn't really matter. All right. So let's take a look at Tiger 1, and we're going to skip right to the part. And there's some really good art in this particular book. Peter Sarson. Yeah. Hilary Doyle and Tom Jentz. Those are well-known tank nerd burglars. See if there's anything specifically. Here's the Heavy Panzer Battalion 508 that went to Italy. Let's see if here's the SS 101 that went to Normandy. Okay, here's some Das Reich Tigers. And this one in particular is called S13. And I'm going to be able to find, I should be able to find what's up. Oh, you heard the nerd burglar call. That's right. Yeah, what's up, man? I saw you have a huge unboxing video of like a zillion figures or something like that. I haven't watched it yet. I'm really bad about watching other people's videos. I actually at lunchtime watched somebody's video. It was a magazine video review about that Yorkshire Gamer did about miniature war games illustrated, and war game soldiers and strategy. So this is a Das Reich Tiger at Kursk, and for whatever reason they had this little gnome symbol, which is awfully cute. And then this is Tunisia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to this one, which is plate number B something or other. I guess it's plate B, and see what the description says about that particular vehicle. And usually the plate descriptions are either right in front or right behind. I guess in this case they're right behind. And I took out my contacts, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I was outside for enough time at work that I got a lot of sweat behind my eye in the contact, and it stung like a son of a bitch. Okay, plate B. ¿Dónde está? B1, okay. Tiger 1, Schwer Panzer Company, Panzer Regiment 2, Das Reich, Russia 1943. The Tigers of the Schwer Panzer Company, Panzer Regiment 2 were identified through their unique tactical numbering system consisting of the letter S, followed by numbers designated the platoon and position within the platoon. Okay, so which one's this one? This is S3. So this is 1st Platoon, 3rd Vehicle. Meaning Schwer. Okay, I don't mind that. Too bad. But those things are pretty much only used at Kursk. So if I use this vehicle for somewhere later, it's like it kind of is a gimme that it's like an SS vehicle at Kursk. Were identified by letter S followed by numbers designated platoon and position within the platoon. This Panzer Company had originally been issued 10 Tiger 1s and 10 Panzer 3s in December 42 and January 43. 2 of these 10 Tigers were completed in December 42. The rest were completed in early 43. This vehicle is one of the original 10 Tigers and carries tactical number S13. It has the 5S Minenwerfer mounted on the deck and still has the driver periscopes with the apertures in the driver's front plate. Okay, so it's got these openings here. These don't have the option for that, okay? And the S-mine launchers, that's this thing here. It looks like a smoke candle type thing. Interesting, it doesn't have smoke candles here on the top, in the top corner of them. This Tiger left the factory with a base coat of field growl. It doesn't really look like it. So it came out in gray. But before July 43, Das Reich repainted their panzers with a tan or green camouflage paint. For the Kursk offensive, Das Reich was ordered to use a new divisional sign, which was stenciled on the driver's front plate and on the rear mudguard. It was to be painted white, and then the base coat of paint was green, and in black when the base coat was tan. A gnome was chosen as the emblem for the Schwer Panzer Company, or possibly the entire SS Panzer Regiment, and stenciled on the turret sides. Okay, he's up here by the turret. I don't know, it looks like a gnome. It looks more like a little imp. Okay, well, that's the only one that it has specifically for Kursk. Look at the poll if you haven't voted on it. I started a poll yesterday on whether you prefer a Tiger or a Panther, just which one of the two heavies. And I'm actually surprised with the results so far. I really am surprised with the results. It is overwhelmingly in favor of the Tiger 1. I'm really surprised. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a look and see where we're at. It's hard to find. Okay, 19 votes. Yeah, 63% favor the Tiger 1, 37 the Panther. No comments on why. Well, let's make sure there's not any comments that are hidden in there somewhere. Oh, somebody commented, Panther, slightly more practical and mobile on the battlefield. Yeah, but that doesn't tell me why you like it. I don't want to be either one of them. You're batting for the wrong team, for starters. Okay, so here's the operational history. Let's talk about the 501st. We know where they went there. (502nd). Sent to the front at Leningrad. First saw action January 7th. It doesn't say that it was at Kursk. 503. Okay, 503 was upgraded and received 24 new Tigers in April 43, completing their complement of 45, having lost only 4 Tigers during the Kursk offensive and a further 4 during the withdrawal. Okay, so 503rd was definitely at Kursk. And like I said, I think that was the unit that was divvied up amongst all the other Panzer divisions. (504th), Tunisia, Sicily, attached to Hermann Goering. Okay, it was in Italy. (505th) was also at Kursk. I suspect that's probably the one that was in the north. (505th) lost only 4 Tigers during the Kursk offensive, but lost a further 6 by the end of July of 43. What's after that? 506th? I don't think 506 was constructed yet by the time. Formed on July 20th, 43. (507th), formed on the 23rd, 43. Okay. Okay, so we need to look at the 503rd and the 505th. Now, I'm going to skip. I think that's what I said, wasn't it? I'm going to skip to this. What's up, Ben? And I know there's pictures in this. Now, this thing is a beautiful book from Ammo Publications. And I'm specifically looking for the Tiger stuff. And I believe this is illustrated by that same guy that's trying to create his own books on the side, whatever his name is. Igor Donchik. Igor Donchik. We got some T-34s, some KVs, more Russian stuff. Ooh, Russian armored car with three color paint scheme. Hey. Oh, here's a logo here. Before setting into the front, this on board is written "Death to Hitler, glory to our tank men." So now I know how "Death to Hitler" is written. That's cool. We'll have to do that. Okay, this is one of the things that's super cool about this book. This is actually the thing that made me pick it up. So you've got the Ferdinands at Kursk are in two different battalions, the 653rd and the 654th. And after Kursk, they put one of these battalions in reserves, gave them all the remaining Ferdinands, and sent these guys to Italy. The 653rd is the one that went to Italy. 654th ends up getting reconstituted later with Jagdpanthers. So, but this is what's really cool is it gives you the numbers of all of these, of both units, and which ones were destroyed with the little, So the standard structure of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Company of Schwere Panzerjägerabteilung 653. The self-propelled guns destroyed in battle and not rescued by the Germans are marked in red. So they're not necessarily knocked out, but they were too heavy to move and they got abandoned. So the interesting thing is these have 100 series numbers, 200 series numbers, and 300 series numbers in the 653rd. In the 654th, it's 500, 600, and 700 series numbers. So like for instance, I have one that was a pre-painted. It came pre-painted already. Let me find it from Dragon. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. .501. That's this guy. He got toasted. So this must have been knocked out at some point during Kursk. So, in the 654th. So they lost about half of them. About half of them got left there. He's only made like 90 of them. Avoid AK interactive primers. I have 3. Gray, Dunkelgelb, and Olive Drab, and the later 2 are greasy. I thought it was the airbrush put some out after thoroughly shaking, and it's crap. You could have gotten an old one. Which is the one that I've been using now? I'm using the black one-shot primer. It is significantly better than the Vallejo. That's because you didn't use black. If you used black, you wouldn't have any of those problems. I don't know. You could have gotten old product. Or the one I'm talking about is totally different and like good. But that's literally what it's called. It's called one-shot primer. And it's what I've been using. And it's more grainy than the Vallejo's too smooth. They are the 3rd gen, but these 2 were bought last week. Well, you won't be buying it again. I got to go to the little boy's room. I'll be right back. Okay. The Viejo Dunkel Gal I had before was also crap. So maybe it's just anything colorful. Well, I'll tell you what I'm not happy with. Okay? Yes. Yes. At 8, yes. Okay? Love you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. I am not happy with this, and I probably won't buy these again. They just aren't worth a shit to brush paint with. You know, they're okay to airbrush, but sometimes you need to touch things up with a brush. I hate using them. I really hate using them. I think their colors are good. I think they're a good value. They last a long time. They have the little mixers, but I honestly prefer this. Now these are even thicker than Vallejo, but these I can get at the place in Tampa. They don't have these. So, yeah, these brush paint just fine. And with Abasa's little system, I'd rather the paint be thick and I thin it down for an airbrush, but still be able to use the paint as is to hand paint. You can't hand paint this. This is like you're basically painting too watered down. So I don't think I'll be buying them again because they just suck to paint with. You know, so. You're like, well, what about the new Atoms? They keep playing, you know, Ammo is doing this thing just like Flames of War is and stuff like that. We're like, oh, you got to try the latest thing that we got. I'm like, they keep moving the football to keep buying stuff from them. And I'm like, you know, I'm perfectly happy with Vallejo, you know. So, all right. So we have these here. You know, when I went online, there was nobody home. And the wife was asleep, and my daughter was out of town. I'm like, oh, fuck it, let's go ahead and go on here. And I'm like, well, that made her get home. So you guys got me for about 50 minutes, and then we're going to go do family stuff. Okay, here we go. Here we start getting into the Panther, the Tigers. Okay, so according to this, this is number 405, Panzer Regiment 1, L.A. Liebstandart. Belonged to Michael Whitman's crew. Okay, and here's a Das Reich one that has a little, the gnome with the S symbol. So this is 2nd Company, 4th Vehicle. Same thing here. This is 3rd Company, 3rd Vehicle. The Chinese symbol of happiness is depicted on the side of the tank. Happiness is being a Nazi in a Tiger tank. I don't know about all that. Okay. So the three SS divisions had a company each. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, they each had one. Grossdeutschland also has one, but their numbering system's weird. They start with like an A, a B, or a C plus a 2-digit code. The 503rd, I'm pretty sure, was a battalion that was divvied up company by company to 3 panzer divisions on the right-hand flank. And as soon as I look at a map and a disposition, I'll be able to tell what they are. I want to say it's the 6th, the 11th, and something else that's down there on the right. And then on the extreme right is the Kempf, Army Detachment Kempf. But the other 3 had one company each of them. And what happened is that they would encounter something like, you know, some AT guns, you know, because the Russians knew the Germans were coming for months. So they had everything, you know, set up to ambush them and everything. So they'd start taking this fire. So they'd call in the Tigers. And the Tigers literally were the ones that basically were blocking everything. They went in and the other tanks kind of, you know, did the little formation with the tank where the Tigers are in the lead and the other ones are refusing the flank or whatever it's called back. They were basically the guys that made the headway on all those, as the Tigers in the South. I'm not sure how they were deployed in the North. It's probably in here somewhere. Okay, the first. This is also the second SS. So all the second SS units have an S code. Now, I'm not sure why this has an 800 in series number when it's also the same unit. But I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make at least one of them with a base gray, oversprayed with yellow, just to be different. Okay, we don't care about these guys right here. Panthers, yeah, they're all in one unit. Two different battalions. Okay, here we go. I knew this would have stuff like this. Okay, so here is the Tiger tanks in Das Reich. In Das Reich, they're all S's, S1 and S2. That's the commander and the XO. And then four tank platoons, S11 through S14, S21 through S24, S31 through S34. That's in Das Reich. And Liebstandart, it's the 13th company. So big 13 and then small 11, big 13, small 12, big 13, small 13, big 13, small 14. I wonder if they do Totenkopf too. No. No, they just show that. So I was reading an article about some SS tank commander that ended up holding off like 50 Russian tanks, and he was part of this one. So his number would have been 13 something or another. I don't know what vehicles his is, but I don't necessarily want to paint his tank, but I would prefer not to do an SS vehicle, just because if you do any of this kind of numbering system and you want to do it somewhere other than Kursk, it's gonna look weird. It's gonna look weird to me because I know better, but. You're never going to see Tigers with a 13 series number or an S series or a series number. This Tiger SS Panzer Regiment 3 or okay, so this is a Totenkopf one. I may not be able to get the answer that I need just yet. I'm going to have to do some serious digging. I mean, ultimately, I just have to be happy with whatever the results are. But there's some pretty detailed stuff in here. Yeah, here's talking about action on the 13th of July at Prokhorovka. Anticipating a possible flurry of negativity from Western historians, as well as a number of domestic experts, want to immediately clarify one nuance regarding the events of July 13th, which took place in the SS Panzer Grenadier Division Liebstandart Adolf Hitler Band. The fact is that many historians point out that the report of July 13th was published late in the evening at 1935. So those tanks that were lost during the battles of that day could have also gotten into it. However, the American researcher and historian Christopher Lawrence, in his book The Battle of Prokhorovka, the tank battle at Kursk, the largest clash of armor in history, well, there's a wordy title for a book, found that losses on that day amounted to only one example of armored vehicles. Moreover, it was a Vespa, self-propelled light howitzer from the SS Artillery Regiment Leibstandarte, which had nothing to do with the tank forces. To summarize, the total number of tanks of the main types of Panzer III, IV, and Tiger, as well as those of Stug assault guns, entered the battle on the Prokhorovka field on July 12th from SS Panzer Grenadier Division Leibstandarte was 102 to 103 armored vehicles. Of these, when repelling the offensive of the 5th Guards Tank Army of Lieutenant General Pavel Rotmistrov, 54 combat vehicles were knocked out, which is an order of magnitude more than the notorious 5 tanks voiced by the German journalist Kellerhoff. Yeah, so I don't know specifically, but the word on the street now is that basically the Germans didn't lose that much stuff, like by direct action, and it was basically that the assault was called off because they were needed in Italy. That doesn't mean they were doing well, but I think the Germans only consider something a loss if it's not repairable to put back into action. Because if you get a tank knocked out and then it goes puts back in like the next day, like it does not count as a loss. But whatever, you know. Tiger number 300 belonged to Figure-atively 505 was captured by the Soviet troops in the Urel area. Okay, so it looks like the 505th might have used normal like numbers. Well, I really don't want to make it for either one of those two units for sure. So that brings me to this. And if you guys are tank nuts and you ever want to get a hands on a copy, this is a great book to have. It's a 2-volume series, and it's available pretty inexpensively. And it's also a Gents book, isn't it? Yeah, Thomas Gents. He's the cat's meow to some of this stuff. So this is Operation Citadel. This is where we're going to get and there's so many vehicles that made their debut there, including these Brumbars. Yeah, during the spring of 43, in the build-up for Operation Citadel, over 1,000 panzers were sent to the Eastern Front as reinforcements and replacements. New units included the Schwer Panzerabteilung 505, which was, a battalion, so like 50 Tiger 1s. Sturmpanzerabteilung 216, that was the unit that had the Brumbars. Panzerabteilung 316 for Army Group Middle. I'm not familiar with what that one is. And Panzerabteilung 551 and 52. That was the Panther unit. At the start of the offensive, the panzer troopmen on the Eastern Front were organized as follows in the order of battle. Army Group Middle on the north side of the Kursk salient had 8 panzer divisions under its command, total of 747 panzers, along with 31 Tigers and the Schwer Panzerabteilung 505. So 505 was in the north. Okay? That's confirmed. 31 Tigers, at least originally. '45 Sturmpanzer in Sturmpanzerabteilung 216. So 216 had 45 Brumbars. And 89 Ferdinands in Schwer Panzerabteilung. It's calling it 656, but I don't think that that's right. It was 653 and 654. Okay, so this is the northern flank. Army Group Center, middle, I kept calling it middle. Army Group Center didn't commit the panzer divisions and the lead attack at dawn on July 5th. They relied on the heavy armor in the Schwer Panzerabteilung 505 and the Schwer Panzerjägerabteilung 656 to create gaps in the Russian defensive belts for the panzer divisions to exploit. So they led with the Tigers and they led with the Ferdinands. Just how well this worked is related by the following excerpts. No, I don't want to get into that minutia just yet. Where is the tank disposition? See here, it just gives you the organic order of battle. Not the 503rd that was split up. The Das Reich actually had 25 T-34s. Heavy Panzerabteilung 505 looks like it had 8 short barrel 3s, 7 long barrel 3s, and 31 Tigers. 503 was all Tigers, 45 of them. Well, I'm going to have to look for. I specifically want to look for Tigers that were a base gray. Just to be different. Just to be different. But that's what I'm going to need to do on Saturday morning. I certainly don't want to do that. I spent a significant amount of time today outside. And yeah, too much sweat in the contacts. Just burning my eyes. So last thing I want to do is go deal with the garage. But and you know, these are kind of basic models. I mean, they're missing the cables that normally would be wrapped up here on the side, but I think these will paint up just fine. I think they'll paint up just fine. So Well, I got about a half hour. I guess we'll go back to working on this pro level Sherman. This is not for the weak, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually going to take a look at the rear of this thing and see if I could find out how these things go. There's A9 and A10. So let's A10 and A9. They're freaking tiny. And they don't look anything like, is this A? They don't look anything like that piece. This thing looks like the end of a vacuum cleaner, and this doesn't look anything like it. Is there another A? Okay, here's an A9 or A10. Here's also an A. They have the same numbers in both of them. Look at this. It's these. Okay, A10 is the one that's over here, and it's gonna go up. All right. Well, I know how to do it now. That's what it was. It was the wrong piece. I'm gonna go ahead and use this instead of the clippers, because I want to hold this thing down so it doesn't go into orbit. This is A9. This is the one on this side. A10 is the one on this side, as it's facing like this. All right. That's weird to have two different numbers. A totally different piece. Tony's Tiger Technical Training Time. That's a lot of T's there. I'm surprised that I'm really surprised that the Tiger is more popular. I mean, it's not scientific or anything. There's only been like 20 votes or something like that. I prefer the Panther for the reasons that I stated why I preferred it. There are things that I really like about the Tiger. But I like that it's a Germanic design. They didn't go in and copy other people's shit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, I like. I don't. I don't like the. I don't like the fact that there's basically only one hash in the Panther's turret in the top. Like, that could be a problem. But I don't like that the Tiger was in these special units. They weren't like, there's exceptions to the rule, but as a general rule, it's like they were held like in a common. They didn't freely mingle with the rest of the tanks and the. Well, I'm asking, and I'm not really a fan of that. Now, with that said, it's quite possible that the crew quality on a Tiger 1 is better than a Panther. Because the Tiger came out at a time period where the Germans still had the edge over the Soviets. And, well, I think that's probably still the case with a Panther, and not always the case with every unit. I mean, they had some dog units that used a Panther. But I built a 1/35th scale model of a Panther and didn't do that with the Tiger, so. All right, now you can glue these two little appendages on. Jeffrey, you would not like these models. I know you don't like things that are too complicated. And this is definitely too complicated. I don't think I'll get another one of these models. Not because I can't build it, but man, it just takes a long ass time. And this is the funny looking exhaust it has. All right. And we still haven't glued this part on here because I don't know where the hell it goes. But now we've got the plate on the back. Let's see if we can maybe figure out where that goes now that we have some other clues. Let's pull that out. And it just says, here, put it at the top of this. But then there's nothing for this to attach to. Maybe like this, but and I don't like how thin these sprockets are. They're extremely thin. If I glue this like this, what does that look on this end? Look like on this end? I think it needs to be lower than that. You wouldn't even see it. Okay, well, we'll definitely punt on that. All right, let's flip this. What do we have? We have a plethora of accoutrements. And some photo etch parts. Okay, so this is the top hole. And you can actually make these hatches open. And it gives you some options to use the photo etch part or the plastic one. Well, if I have a choice of using either one, I'm going to use the plastic one. Let's see what this photo etch looks like. Yeah, we're not doing that for the headlights. F that noise. Now, why is this sealed? What the hell could this possibly be? Maybe this is what the photo etch was in? And somehow it slipped out? Wow. Okay. It doesn't want you to put the two halves together yet, huh? Yeah, see, it gives you a piece here. Like, there's a photo etch piece you could put on there. or the plastic piece. And the problem isn't that it's photo etched, it's you gotta like bend this joker. Because this is piece MA10. And literally this looks nothing like it. Dragon kits are a faff. Panzer 3N for one. Baff, is that a good thing? Sounds like it's garbage. Faff beating British. To waste time or engage in unnecessary activity or fussing, often in a disorganized way. It can also be used as a noun to describe something that is awkward or time-consuming to do. Stop faffing around and get on with it. A time suck. You had to go yesterday. That's okay. Yeah, I'm not impressed. And people swear that, oh, Dragon kits are as good as Tamiya. Nope. Sorry, Tamiya is the gold standard. Now, they probably have a lot of things on here that are the correct scale. Like, they got some really nice welds and stuff like that. Okay. Well, we're not taking that away from you. I'm just saying you're having me assemble way too many things. Like, it takes longer to do this than assemble a real tank. Now, one thing that seems to be common on these late war American tanks is they have this first aid kit that's sitting on the side of the hull of the tank at an angle down. That just looks like all kinds of wrong. That just looks all kinds of like this. They want you to take this piece right here, okay, this photo etch. And I don't hate photo etch because honestly it's not brittle. It's not going to break on you. It's just a pain to glue, but that's your photo etch piece right there. This little piece right here. So you have to take that and then you have to make this 3-sided box with it. All right, I'm with you. I could fold that, right? But then you've got these other little things that go inside of it. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, what piece is that? 8? Well, actually, they're crimped in the right place. I may try it. I may try it. If it doesn't work, just move along. Nothing to see here kind of thing. Lalo Schifrin died. Who's that? No, that's what rookies agree. Lalo Schifrin. Sounds like a ice skater. Some guy does like the long jump. Some Austrian long jumper with that big ski jump thing. Argentine pianist. Oh, the composer of the Mission Impossible thing. Interesting. All by an Argentinian. All right, so B1 is the machine gun. I think we can pretty safely put that in there. And it's probably very, very small. That's predicted. Looks good. There we go. Oh, I already see something I don't like. Not on the machine gun, but ain't nobody got time for that. Lalo. In some Latin communities, there's a desire to give people nicknames like that. Cookie and Pee and things like that. Just and it's almost kind of like names that that your siblings would give you because they don't know how to they don't know how to speak properly. I never had one. Well, I had it go in and then it came out. Okay. My daughter's seen all those Mission Impossible movies. I won't watch. I think I've tried to watch one back in the day, and I'm like, I ain't watching that shit. The new Tom Cruise ones. I'm like, I'm not watching that. B9 is like this headlamp looking thing. Nope, this is A. That's a well-made turret. I think that piece on top is not flash. That's correct, it is not. One thing that surprised me, I'm reading this book, and they're talking about casualties, and to me, casualties is dead people. Like if you get wounded, that's not a casualty. But I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. I just figured casualties was a interchangeable with deaths. Yeah, the Spanish way of pronouncing Pepe sounds like pipi. Composer of films. No, German golfer is what it sounds like. That works too. Composer of film scores, notably Kelly's Heroes. He did that bridge burning, whatever that bridge song is. And you better hope you're not the older, taller, or fatter of the two Pepes in the friend group. Older, taller, or fatter. It's okay to be the taller one. I mean, you got to be like excruciatingly tall for people to make fun of you being tall, right? Like you got to be like a clumsy, like really large person. Like nobody makes fun of you. Man, you're 6'2". Ah ha ha ha. Like, no. Now if you're like, 7'8", yeah, you'll get made fun of. Pepe. Yeah, Pepe is what? Francisco? I think Pepe is Francisco. The one that's really weird, okay? Santiago, right? Everybody knows what Santiago is. Santiago is St. James. Tiago James. What? Man, these sons of bitches. B14. All right, there's a grab handle. It's B14. Yeah. Again, what I hate about this is like, man, where'd all the time go? Oh, these are just beautiful. And you got to see this. I mean, I can't show it to you on the camera. You wouldn't be able to see it. It's over engineered. Look at these grab handles. Whoa. Not only are they not just a loop, they're like but they actually have like little pegs at the bottom of them. That's just, these guys got nothing to do. Mike Curb Congregation. Yeah, not a fan of congregational music, but I'm actually more excited to see it than Mitch is. Just so you know. So there's a good chance we're going to do a show tomorrow. I'll try. Well, it'll be earlier than this. I think I'm gonna go to his place and we'll do a show. So send me some questions if you got them. It'll be live. First thing I'm gonna ask him is which one's his favorite, Panther or Tiger. I suspect he's gonna say Panther. Okay. Where did it go? Oh, it stuck to it. That's how minuscule it is. Holy smokes. I don't know what I'm going to do for the. I was hoping to get an Airfix shirt, an Airfix tiger, so I could make that tiger from Kelly's Heroes, enter it in the movie thing. Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. I think this turret's too small. And I want the 76 pan. I want the 76, 176th tiger. All right. I'm not sure I can get away with cutting that. At that angle, I think I'm going to clip part of it. Yeah, this is faffing about for sure. Jinkies. Woohoo! We better glue that thing on. That's just too damn delicate. That's just unnecessary. I'd rather have something like the little air fixture. I mean, I make my own little loops where I feel like it. You know? Alright, what's the next faffing thing you want us to do? Same one on the other side. And it gives you two options for these little protectors for the headlights. But it doesn't tell you why to use one over the other. There's that. It's over here. I faff in your general direction. My daughter told me the other day, said, it's about time to watch that again, isn't it? Every time we watch it, we catch something new. Last time we watched it, we're busting out laughing while the person's beating the cat against the tent or whatever. I don't think this is faffing about. I think this is like an order of magnitude much higher than that. I mean, speaking of Argentina, what were the British casualties during the Falklands War? It's got to be pretty low. Got to be like 100, couple hundred. I mean, they probably lost more on those two ships that sank. That's probably the biggest loss of life. You know, back when Britain had a navy, you guys don't have anything. It's quite sad. Oh, I already cut it off? Okay. Geez, I wish somebody would have told me. I wish I would have told myself. About 300? Yeah. Well, they certainly took it worse. I actually remember when that happened. got a little headlamp there. B13. Of course, you guys remember when that happened because you were there. And if I remember correctly, I think the Argentinians and the British used the same rifle. Wasn't chambered in the same thing though. Because the British had the what do you call it, the inch pattern, and the Argentinian one is metric. Except you guys call that what, the SLR? I've always called it FAL. Well, okay, you have an option of doing B20 or MA3. And MA3, you would have to build the damn thing out of photo etch. We're not doing that. This is not Absurdistan. Well, that's where we're going to stop because we're out of time. So, all right, folks, thanks for coming by, and we should be on with a live show tomorrow night. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Something.